Hello, year one. I hope you're all doing okay. Ready for another lesson? What we normally do on a Wednesday after PE or before PE, we do history or geography. Okay, so this week we'll be doing some history. And because our topic is moon zoom, all about rockets and space and everything to do with planets, we're going to have a lesson on different kinds of rockets and how they've changed over many, many years, because everything changes over the years. We know that we change over the years. We get bigger, taller, stronger, and so do buildings. They get older, they change what they look like, and people change rockets. That's how they've changed. They've got better and better to do different things and go even further, even faster. Lots of different changes have been made. Okay, so we're going to talk about the first ever rockets that were made. Okay, because a man didn't just go out to his garage one day and thought, I'm going to build a big rocket, and it just happened like that. It doesn't work like that. That's very, very silly, okay? So the first ever rockets that were made, okay, was in China 800 years ago. That's a long, long time. 800 years. Wow, imagine being alive for that long. Okay, rockets were made 800 years ago in China. Okay, and what they were little bits of tube with gunpowder inside connected to a stick, and you lit them on fire and they went ooh, shot up in the air. And that is just like how we see fireworks today. So the first ever rockets weren't rockets that you could sit in and fly up to space. You'd be too big for it. You couldn't sit on a firework, could you? Too big. And they're the first ever rockets that were made, right? And since then, they've got better and better and better. Bigger, faster, more advanced, more technology inside. And what we're going to do today is talk about how they've slowly got better and better as the years have gone on, okay? Right, so to start off with our timeline of different rockets, we know that now we are in the year 2021 or 2021. But the first bit on my timeline starts in 1942. Long, long time ago. Okay, I wasn't around. And what it was called the German V2 rocket. Okay. And what it did, it flew up to space, and it was the first rocket to go into the atmosphere. So it just about got to space. Let's imagine, okay, on Mr. Bennett's piece of paper. Actually, on Mr. Bennett's whiteboard. Let me show you. So, if I showed you on here, down here is planet Earth, okay? Here's Mr. Bennett on planet Earth. And then, here's the moon. So, at this year, no one has been to the moon yet. No person has flew all the way to the moon, okay? And what this rocket did, it flew up, all the way up, and here. So all of this section here, down here, is our sky, what we see. And up here is the atmosphere to space. So this is our sky, and this is space, where the moon and all the stars are. So the rocket went all the way up, and it reached this line here. Let me draw my rocket. So it flew all the way up, and it just reached where space was, but it didn't go all the way into space, not yet. All it did was just get to here, okay? And the man that invented this, okay, later on in his life, he went to work for NASA, okay? And he helped to build the first rocket that went to the moon. How amazing is that? So that's our first part, okay? So year one, our next part in our timeline, okay, is in 1947. Can you say 1947 for me? Amazing. So, in this year, what happened? Some people thought, we don't know if it's safe up in space for humans to go up yet in rocket ships, so we're going to test it on some animals, okay? What animals do you think they sent up to space? What do you think? Can you have a guess? Can you tell me now? If you said fruit flies, you're correct. They sent flies up to space. They didn't say, oh, you fly. They flew them up to space because what they were doing, they were testing what it would be like on humans up in space because they didn't know if it was safe or not. So they made an animal go up first. Okay? It's a bit weird, isn't it? Then what happened, because everyone gets hungry now and again, and if you were to fly up to space, you need some food. And what they did for these flies, they sent them a supply of corn to eat while they were going up. It's crazy, isn't it? I never knew that. So next in our timeline, it was the 14th of June, 1949. So getting closer to our year now. And what happened? They sent a monkey up to space. He was called Albert II, okay? And what he did, he flew up to space and he flew 83 miles all the way from Earth and he flew into space. So there was a monkey in space. Imagine that, a monkey flying around in space in a rocket. So next on our timeline stop, it is the year 1957, okay? And it is November. And what happened at this time, some Russians sent up a dog into space. A dog flew around our Earth. It orbited Earth. That means in a rocket, it went all the way round Earth and stopped and went back down to where it started, okay? This dog's name, okay, was called Laika. Laika means barker in Russian. So we know dogs bark. So they said, oh, that's a barker. So that dog is going to be called Laika. And that was the first ever dog to fly around space, okay, and fly around our Earth. They wanted to see if humans could survive traveling around space. And they found out that they could. How cool is that? So over many, many years, what happened? The Americans and the Russians, they had lots of competition between each other. They both wanted to be the first people to get to the moon, get a man on the moon, okay? They wanted to be the first, so they had lots of races, lots of things they tried that didn't work. There was a Russian ship that went up, but luckily no one was in it because if it crashed into the moon that fast, if someone was in it, they would have got really hurt, okay? So luckily no one was in it. But then on the 20th of July, 1969, what happened? There was a man, okay? His name was Neil Armstrong. We've learnt about Neil Armstrong before, okay? We did that last week or the week before. And he was the man that said, it's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. We've already learnt that, okay? But when their rocket ship landed on the moon, the first words they said before they got out the rocket was, the Eagle has landed. Okay, I didn't know that before now. Okay, so what happened? It was the 20th of July, 1969. They landed on the moon and they walked around the moon really slowly. And remember, their footprint is still on the moon. So as you can tell, the rockets have slowly got better and better. They've sent a fly up. Then they sent a dog called Laika to rotate and orbit the Earth, And now they've sent some men up to the moon and they survived. They've got there nice and safe. And they flew 250,000 miles to get all the way to the moon. That's a long, long way, that is. So what happened? Over some years after this, there were lots of different missions to get to the moon. And it happened, it all worked. But in 1971, a few years after the first men landed on the moon, what happened? They started to use different vehicles on the moon. Okay, so the rockets could take different vehicles up. So one thing they had, instead of walking around really slowly on the moon, because that would take ages, what they had was a little car. It was called the Lunar Rover. So you can see pictures online of this. It's called the Lunar Rover, okay? And it had a top speed of 8 miles an hour. Not very fast, but you don't need to go that fast because you don't want to fly off into space. You don't know where you'll end up, okay? So it was called the Lunar Rover, and it was made by the same people who make the big, massive aeroplanes today. The Boeing, that's the company, okay, I'm pretty sure. And it was the Lunar Rover that they drove around on. So, next up, in 1973, getting closer and closer to our year now, what happened? Some very smart scientists, very clever men and women, what they did, they sent up 2 probes up into space all the way to Mars, okay? They wanted to see what Mars was like because we didn't know. So what one of them was to take the other one up and take lots of pictures, and the other one was to fly down and drive around and explore. There were little robots that the men and women back on Earth could control. And what they did, sadly, when the second one went to drop that, oh, my lights have gone off. Hold on, let me run around. Don't laugh. My light's going to come on. There we go. Magic. So what happened, okay, when it went to parachute down and land on Mars, what happened? The parachute failed and it broke when it landed on Mars. Sad that is. Lots of money gone to waste. Lots of people are excited to see that, but that was what happened next. So what happened next? All the years of space travel that we've been talking about today, up until the 12th of April, 1981, all the rockets and all the spaceships that the men and women have designed over the years, what happened? They were designed to only be used one time, and then you wouldn't be able to use them again. But the smart ladies and smart men decided that it's too expensive. We can't afford to do that all the time. So what they did, they made something huge called the Space Shuttle. And that's the thing that we've seen lots of videos about, lots of pictures about over the years, okay? And this could be reused for up to 100 times. So they could make it less expensive and go a lot more often whenever they could, rather than build a new one, then you're going to have to build a new one, then build a new one. That's a waste of time. So they were smart about it and they made one that they could use 100 times. Really, really good, that is. So next up, this is a really cool one, this is. In 1989, there was a lady, right, called Helen Sharman, and she wanted to be the first ever British person, so first ever person from Great Britain, United Kingdom, up in space. And her name was Helen Sharman, right? And she eventually joined a space mission, and she trained for a year and a half. 18 months is a long, long time to get good enough, strong enough, smart enough, and know everything about space for her to go up. And she was successful. She went up and spent 8 days up in space doing lots of different experiments, searching things and helping everyone around the world learn more about space, okay? And one thing, she also had a job where she worked for a sweet company making Mars bars. So there's the planet Mars, and she made Mars bars. How funny is that? So next up, getting really close to our year now, in the year 2000, okay, so it's only 21 years ago, what happened? Something went up into space, and it was called the International Space Station. Okay, I know that's a big mouthful to say, but what that is, lots of different crews of men and women, lots of astronauts have been going up and living up in space, floating around. They're not floating everywhere where they get lost, but they're in a controlled environment where they can live nice and safe. They walk around and things like that. But what they have to do, they do lots of different experiments. They search different things to help us know a lot more about space and our universe. Lots of different planets. But they're still, every single day and every single year, they're making this better and better with better technology, finding out different discoveries. It's really, really cool, that is. It's helping us learn a lot more. So, what we spoke about not long ago, the Space Shuttle that could go up to space 100 different times, okay? The company that designed that, called NASA, okay? They decided that needed to come into retirement. They needed to stop making it, okay? So lots of different companies try to make their own spaceship, their own rocket ship to go up to space so they can make lots of money and find different things. And in 2008, so not that long ago, okay, there was a company called Space X, okay, and what they did, they got a fuel-powered, like a car, fuel-powered rocket to go up to space, and a man doesn't, or woman, sorry, doesn't even need to be in the rocket. It can be unmanned, which means it can be controlled with controls back on Earth, so no one needs to risk anything going up. And what that is used for, that special rocket ship that they designed, okay, that takes supplies, so food, water, maybe some clothes, maybe some games, all the way up to that International Space Station where the men and women live up in space and they do different discoveries. So that's like a little delivery system. So it goes from Earth to space, delivering things to them. Really, really cool, that is. Wow, so in 2017, so not that long ago, 4 years ago, the company SpaceX that I've just mentioned, they flew that same rocket up, but it was made out of everything that was recycled. And they went to the International Space Station to drop off some supplies, and it was all recycled. How amazing is that? So we're, instead of throwing things out and throwing it away forever, they've reused things for something so useful. How amazing is that? And our last fact for today, okay, by the year, well, in the 2030s, so we're in 2021. So within 9 years, okay, what NASA hope to do, so in 4 years, they want to send men and women back to the moon to search new things. And then in 9 years, they hope to send men and women all the way to Mars, because no man or woman's been on Mars and lived on there for a bit and searched things. So what they need to do, in 9 years, they want to send people up there. And what's really amazing is that the men and women that will search Mars are only children now. So if you think about it, if you work hard enough and you try and you really want to go to space and you think, oh, I'd love to do that, you work hard enough, you could be the first man or woman on Mars. Imagine that. I'd love to do that, but you never know. You'll have to beat me to it. So I'd love to see you do that. That would be really, really cool, that would. So year one, what your job is, okay, you need to get a blank piece of paper or in a book. It doesn't matter if it has lines on. Get any piece of paper you can, or a whiteboard or anything you can, even on your computer, and you need to draw a rocket ship. I know that's a quick one, but you draw a rocket ship in the middle of your page, so right in the middle of your page, but not too big. It needs to be quite small so you can write around it. And what you need to do after you've drawn your rocket ship, the most important part, you'll go like this. So I'll draw a line, and one of the many facts that I've just told you, okay, I'd like you to write down the top 3 or 4 amazing facts that you can. Remember, neat writing, okay, take your time, but you need to find some amazing facts. So if I want to, I could put something like a dog went around the Earth. Full stop. So one of my favourite facts that I've told you was the dog Laika, who went and orbited all around planet Earth. That was from Russia. And you need to write around them. So do a bit of a fact file around your rocket ship that you've drawn. Okay? And then, nearly knocking my laptop off, silly me. So what you need to do is draw that, do a fact file around it, and as soon as you've finished, take a picture on your tablet, on your laptop, on your phone, on anything you can, okay, and upload it onto our class blog so that we can all see it. That would be fantastic if you can do that. But I know there was lots of facts for you to remember. If you need to rewatch the video, you do that. That's perfectly fine, as long as you get your facts down, okay? But hope you have a really good day, year one.